Hey, we're going to take a look at those great statistics once again and hear a few things about NamesCon and what's going on. So don't go away. So it's really good to be here once again. I must admit, this is one of the highlights of my week, is to take a look at what's going on in the domain industry in terms of the statistics. But just before we look at that, so what have I been up to? I must admit, I've been pretty excited. I've been preparing a whole lot of material for NamesCon Online. Now, if you don't have your tickets for NamesCon Online, then make sure you go and get them. Like, it's all I can say. Like, if you're a professional in this industry, then go and get your tickets. It's not really that hard, and it's not that expensive either. Now, I'm going to be there, and I must admit, I'm going to be there from midnight my time to about 7 a.m. my time. And yes, I'm going to have jet lag without flying, so that's not too bad. I'm also going to be sharing in a keynote address on a panel, 2 breakout sessions, but then I'm doing 3 masterclasses. I'm so looking forward to those masterclasses. The 3 masterclasses, one is looking at normalized RPM, what that is, the importance of normalized RPM, which is going to be great. Another one, I spent some time with my business partner today. We're taking a look at quality, traffic quality, and why that's so important for a domain monetization person and also an investor who's investing to sell domains. And what is traffic quality? And I'm going to unpack all of that, and that's going to, I think, just blow your mind. Yeah, so I'm looking at those things. Then the other one I'm putting together is, how do you run a traffic test? How do you actually do that so you can actually see if a new provider is actually going to perform or not? And I'll take you through how we do a traffic test. So whatever you go online, look up my name, the agenda or something like that, see all the different sessions and everything I'm doing. And I'm really looking forward to seeing some of you in those. It's going to be great. There'll be time for Q&As and everything. It's going to be good fun. But anyway, so don't forget Masterclass lessons. Go to Masterclass lessons. I think you're going to just love it. You really will. There's so much material there. I'm looking forward to next month, which I'm hoping to, at long last, to do another series. I'm going to do a few more additional ones for monetization, which is going to be good. And everything is going good in this part of the world, so I hope it's going good in yours. In the meantime, let's take a look at the numbers, see how we go. All right, monetization update for the 21st of January. This is actually the second one for the year I've done. So what's going on here when we look at, say, the normalized RPM and RPM trends? What's actually happening? So when we take a look at the end here, it looks like there's a slight kick up. I'm not sure how big a kick up that really is. It's basically flat. It really has been flat, but flat at quite a decent height though. So what's going on at earning per click and CTR? This is the numbers since January, 1st of January last year. And we can see there's a big uptick in the earnings per click just here. But it's easier to see this on the rolling 14-day average. You can see there's a big uptick there. But the interesting thing is, what normally happens is as earnings per click goes up, CTR goes down, or click-through rate goes down, whereas click-through rate goes up, earnings per click goes down. That hasn't happened. That hasn't happened. So I think we're on the brink of another big upturn, which I'm looking forward to. Okay, volatility, what's going on? It's basically flat. Like, we're going through a 7-day cycle. Nothing much is happening, which in many respects, that's not so bad. Yeah, if you're comparing 1 week versus the previous figure of the previous week, I don't mind it being pretty calm. That's okay by me on a 1 week compared to the previous week. Okay, the normalized RPM growth. So overall, we're getting quite a big normalized RPM growth comparison to January 2020. And if you think about it, what that's really saying is this, is if you put a domain and it had a 1 RPM at the beginning of January 2020, then 2021, basically we're at now, it's now with 1.8 RPM, roughly speaking. Yeah, so that's quite a jump. So that's all good news, and I think it's just going to be continue to go up. Okay, so where's all this revenue coming from? And take a look at that. There's Google is a sliding. So Google's not paying out as much of the revenue as proportion overall compared to at the peak of, say, COVID and last year. So it's really sliding off. And look at the direct advertising networks. I think the direct advertising networks are really finding other niches other than travel and that sort of stuff to exploit. And I'm just wondering what it's going to look like when travel finally comes back and say home loans and that sort of stuff. It's going to be awesome. So what's actually happening here, there's a slight upgrade in direct advertising networks in terms of how much traffic they're winning compared to Google. But as I always said, one of the great things about Google is they just have the breadth of advertising. If you want to go along and have advertising for Joe's Pizza Shop in Mogadishu, then Google's got your audience for you. But direct advertisers, not so much. So that's why there's less traffic down here. Although they are going upwards, which is interesting. Okay, so what's happened with the normalized RPM? The normalized RPM, remember, is revenue divided by raw traffic times 1,000. So I put Google is on the left axis, direct advertisers on the right axis. And there was a big jump just here. I'm going to be interested to see whether there's a breakout from Google at the end there. Google's in blue. So it's a really, really big jump. I don't have any more data yet, so I'm going to be taking a look at that over the next week or so. I think next week's figures are going to be really interesting. Direct advertisers is basically relatively being flat the last few weeks, although the trend line shows up. But I think it's because of polynomial of the third order. That's the reason why it's like that. So it's been relatively flat. But if we put them on the same axes, now Google is way down here, and you can see that the direct advertiser actually really got a significant separation just there. Oh, whoops there. Okay, hang on. Oh, let's see. Okay, so what was going on last week? If we just take a flat line and said direct advertisers were going up last week, Google was going down. You probably remember that. Now, take a look at the current direct advertisers. It's going down slightly, and Google swung around. And I think that's largely due to that big spike. So I don't know whether that big spike is just, I don't know, a blip in the data. We'll find out. I'm going to be very interested to see what that looks like. Or is Google doing another surge moving forward? So, and you can see right here is the volatility has gone through the roof for Google just there at the end, and that's that big spike. So let's keep an eye on that. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so what's going on in terms of Google and direct advertising, normalized RPM growth from base from last year, and you can see Google's got a big spike. Yeah, the downturn and a big spike. Makes me wonder whether that downturn was a mistake by some monetization companies and now they're offsetting it so it'll go back to normal again. I don't know. And the direct advertisers really aren't, they're not growing from where their base was enormously. In fact, they're still down a little bit. They are slowly swinging around. But remember, their base was much, much higher than Google. We saw that. So don't get confused by this thinking, oh my gosh, Google's going well. Be like Google going from 1 till 6, but the direct advertisers go from 10 to 11. So it's like, we need to take that with a grain of salt. All right, okay. So don't forget, ParkLogic. ParkLogic is my company with my co-founder David Gibbs. We do monetization of traffic. If you have more than, say, $500 a month in traffic, come and speak to us. We'd love to speak to you because I think we can turn that into a bigger number for you. That's the whole goal. All right, so what else we got there? My blog, go to my blog. There's so much stuff I've written across over a decade, well over a decade, heaps of great stuff. Check out MasterClass lessons. It is, I must admit, awesome. That's the feedback I'm getting. And it really is, there's lots of great material on MasterClass lessons. So without further ado, that's this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for that. Bye. I hope you enjoyed that video and you find them really valuable for your business and helping you make better decisions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or pass the video on to your friends. Anyway, thanks a lot for that. Have a great day. Bye.